your opinion on this. What do you think needs to happen? Because we've got the scenario happening right now. In Sudan, South Sudan, it's happening. Congo, it's happening as we speak. But how can this information be communicated to these people so that at least they realize this? Or is it there are other issues that needs to be fixed first so that at least people can realize it? What's your comment on that?
Yeah, for example, in any place, in any country or any workplace, if there is an issue of concern, people need to do a proper study, put things together. Because, for example, in Sudan and Congo, not everybody knows why they are fighting. There's a lot of missing information. They can't put the parts together. So I think the government should be bold enough, have an independent evaluator or researcher to say, why are these things? Talk to people, and by a person who does not know these people, talk to the people from the grassroots, talk to the rebels, talk to everybody else. Then you'll be surprised why these things are happening, and those people can give you recommendations why these things. But then we assume the people in the village, they don't know anything. They have to be controlled by the big guns up there. But they might have solutions. That's the other problem in Africa. We all disregard our only pool of information to tap from. We think better information will come from the white people. We're forgetting very valuable information just next door to you. It won't even cost you to find that information. So I still feel it's on the cards of all these people. For example, in Malawi, we have found gas just below our sea, our ocean, I mean our lake, on our lake bed. And other minerals which were not exploited after a long time. During the era of Just Bank, she made contracts with other companies. And they wanted to start and all those, they give money and all this. This guy, Peter, came in. He found out those contracts, there was something fishy, so many gaps. He's thrown all those contracts out. He's starting all over again. People didn't like it, but he's doing it for the good of the people. And these people, of course, it involved other chiefs and other people were involved, and they're not fighting. They're not fighting. So they would say, you are messing with us. We could have been getting this money from these guys, but then why have you done it? Go in the bush. But people are not doing it. I think it also depends on where you're coming from, background. If you think war is the best way to resolve the solutions, but they should prove themselves wrong now, but that war has not solved their solutions. They should look at countries where there hasn't been. You know, in Malawi, the only war we fought in Malawi was, the last one was the Second World War. Never fought. Regardless of when things were bad politically, we never fought. We diffuse things within ourselves and life moves on.
What do you think about the African Union as a body?
The African Union as a body, it's good to belong to somebody. You got to belong, just like kids want to belong to a family. People want to belong to a church. It's just like that type of organization. But what I think it should focus on is how can they make Africa economy viable, sustainable, rather than dwelling every time on conflicts, which they are not getting anywhere else. But if the time they have spent on conflict, they spent on how they're going to develop Africa from Egypt to South Africa, Africa would have been a different thing. But at the moment, I've heard of having a railway line linking Africa from Egypt to the south. Those are the things they should have done years ago. But now always thinking of how we're going to end this fight, because they have tried. For how many years have they tried on Congo? So they must change the direction of how they do their support on Congo. Sending troops there. It hasn't worked. I know as far as probably about 20 years ago, when my brother was in the army, he used to go to DRC to help peacekeeping.
Yeah.
So you mean, what type of problem you keep on solving for over 20 years? Something wrong somewhere else.
Yeah.
You go to change your method of solving that problem. It means they are going the wrong way.
Yeah, right.
So they need to sit down. They need to evaluate. For the past 20 years, we have been helping Congo. We haven't gone anywhere else. What best can we do to help them? Not just going, wasting money, sending troops there. People are still dying. What's the point?
So the other thing is that why is it that, okay, let's talk of francophone countries, where if there is any conflict, if France is not involved, nothing will, if they don't send troops or if they send help, nothing happens. France has to somehow direct everything. So, and then we have the African Union on there. So I'm not sure who has to set the pace. Is it the African Union, or is it the France that has to set a pace, or is it the relationship between the francophone countries and France itself need to be revisited? What's your opinion on that?
I think this mentality that the West are better than us.
Yeah.
I used to have that mindset as when I used to live back home in Malawi. But after living in the West for over 30 years, I think we need to change that. We are better. So people need to change that mindset that they are not better than the West. They have got better solutions because they know what their problems are.
Yeah.
Relying on the white people resolving our issues, I think it's sort of bringing ourselves to polarization. We can do better than this. That's why sometimes it takes people who have been exposed to the Western world to help the African countries to be up to scratch with what they're supposed to do. Because back home, if you ask people in Malawi, they will think every white man is very intelligent. I would say no. No.
Yeah.
Because I've had competition with white people, going through the interviews, the same jobs with white people, even in the government. And I've been picked as the best. So that mentality should change. But then the mentality is like somebody from a different country or white person who have got better ideas than them. We should change that concept. Once we change that concept, I think, because as I said, in Congo or Sudan, they can resolve those problems. They don't need white people to come in there and help them. If they can afford to sit down, put their differences, racial differences, whatever differences they have, and say, what do we need to do to solve it? They'll do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. But the mentality has to change.
I've heard that to this day, the francophone countries we're talking about, that their annual reserves, their money, is actually banked in France, and that if they need to use any of that money, they actually borrow it from that reserve.
So come again, whose reserve was those?
Let's talk of Mali. Francophonie has got about 13 countries there. Right. Let's talk of say Mali has got its own money, reserves or surplus or whatever it is, money for the government. What they use, what they tap from to do any development in the country or whatever they want to do. That amount of money is actually banked in France. It's controlled by France. Right. What they do is, if they need to use any of that money, they actually borrow it from France at an interest. And in the event that, let's say they want to do a big project, say build a bridge or whatever it is, something that costs money, first preference to, when they put it to tender, the first preference should be given to French companies. This is happening to this day. I know it's okay. There's an element of mindedness there, at least that we think people from elsewhere are good and things like that. But it looks like these countries are so entrenched in this that maybe to come out is not easy, right? I've been told they actually contribute or pay some amount to France for managing their affairs. It's an amount of money. If today they say they're not going to get, they are going to stop paying, France will be in trouble, because it's millions of dollars that we're talking about. And this has been confirmed by the former president of France, that if Africa were not there, they'll be in a critical situation as far as funding is concerned. So now, this is where I'm saying the African Union, to me, is just like a meeting place where people go give speeches and go back, or feel important, who's here, who's brought which plane and whatever it is, and then they go back. But this relationship with these countries, it's a worrisome relationship. I know in the case of Malawi, or most of the relationship with Britain is a little bit different.
Although Britain, I know it has got, I don't like that type of relationship. It's like if a British company goes to Zimbabwe and does business in Zimbabwe, understand doesn't have to pay tax.
Oh yeah, but it's
that's wrong. Though.
It's part of the deal. Let's say in the event that some of the funding is coming from them, that's what they do.
Yeah,
to promote their companies.
Yeah, but what, for example, it's wrong. In Malawi, we have got an incentive for investors at the moment. We're saying that for all foreign companies who come and invest in Malawi in anything, they will be tax-free for 10 years. And they can take money, whatever money they are making, to their own country, we don't mind. But what we're looking at is, this president is looking at, these companies will bring employment to the people, reduce the poverty of people. After 10 years, of course, they start paying tax, and by 10 years' time, the people benefit. Because the tax, the government benefits, but then he wants the people on the ground to benefit by being employed. So, such things, I remember during Dr. Ndala's time, if Western world companies or organizations didn't want to give Malawi money and they're putting tough conditions, you know what he used to say? He said, fine, I don't need your money. If you don't need to give me money, I can run this economy for the 10 years, next 10 years using my own money. I don't need your money. I'm doing this for my own people. But if you give me those conditions, I don't need it. Because he had the money to do it anyway. But not every president will have the money to do it. Yeah, so that's the difference. So that's what I'm trying to say. Malawi is a different space. And because Dr. Ndala used to challenge everybody, has been overseas for over 30 years, and you know he was a personal doctor for the Queen. So then to dent his name, they used to call him a dictator. Because he was no nonsense to anybody else. He used to call a spade a spade. I don't like this. And for example, in Malawi, during my time, we never used, the word racism was never there. The conditions were from Dr. Ndala. If a white person is racist to me, he's on the next plane back home. If I become racist to a white person, I go to prison. So that was no-go area. So he was tough on both sides. So actually, when to know about racism, when I went to UK, that's when I said, oh, people are racist. I didn't know about it. And that was in my 20s. The racist thing was never there. So that's why I say we can control our situation. And this money dependence thing of Africa can be controlled. I work with the welfare sector here in the parliament. There are people who have been on Centrelink for years, but once they've got the support they need to give them some courses, programs, you know, they're off dependence. On those people who have been for years. And for example, Malawi, when the first 2 years of Peter Mutharika, we didn't have any funding. We survived. If you could survive, if you could persevere a little bit longer, people would have the sense that, no, I think this is for our good, would have been survived. And you know that the money we pay back the loans with is less. No, the money we run our governments in Malawi, in Africa, the whole Africa, is less than the money we pay off the loans. So if we were not paying the loans, these IMF loans, we would be able to survive very well in Africa. But we were trapped in that category of these loans. In some other countries, think it's fun. But then, for Africa to come out of this mess, if we trade within ourselves, if African Union encourages, I know there used to be SADC, Eastern African Community. I don't know how effective these organizations are now, but those communities are very, very vital to put the economy together. For example, I remember during SADC time, to go to Zimbabwe or South Africa, I didn't use US dollars. You didn't use to have US dollars. We had on our currency, SADC currency. So why make US people richer by buying their dollars? So we're using our own currency locally for SADC. So we need to have that initiatives saying, this is what we need to do. And what worries me most is, civilization started from Africa. And we have got very powerful economies in Africa. Not just in Africa, all over the world. Here, UK, Africans having very, very powerful qualifications, of which they can turn around those countries and be better countries. But nothing's happening, probably because the conditions out there, people have been greedy, or they're not welcoming new ideas, and they don't accept newcomers to come on board. I know in many countries, you cannot become a president if you have lived overseas for a long time. You need to have a track record of politics in there, of which Malawi is different. Malawi has proved Dr. Banda never grew up there, was the president. Bingham Tariga never grew up there. Peter Tariga never grew up there. They came home after 30 years in the wilderness. They came back home and said, I want to give back to my community. And those are the presidents who are found very, very useful actually. And because they have that flexibility, and for example, I remember during Moses' time, there was dual citizenship, he cancelled it. They didn't want people from overseas to come and enjoy the privileges or do whatever because they wanted to contain it within. That's a disadvantage to the country. You need people in this product to go do businesses, give ideas, have an open mind.
Free movement.
Free movement. There are so many Malawians. For example, I'm the president of the Association of Malawi here in Australia. Our association is very, very powerful in terms of academics. It's run by the youth. When I say youth, it's up to the age of 35 or so. And 3/4 of those youth are from masters to PhD. And assuming those people went back home and they're in very, very good jobs, it will transform Malawi a lot. But countries should accept such type of people. The current government, if you look at it, it has people who have lived overseas for years, who have worked in United Nations, who have worked in these organizations. Those are people running our government now.
In the Western world, they have what they call overseas experience. When they're employing people, it's an advantage.
It is.
Because they feel that if you've been overseas, there's one or two things you've learned which you can come back and help your country or your company or wherever you work improve. Because you've seen things from a different angle. Rather than if you stay on one job, you've never been anywhere else and everything else. There's a way of things how you view. But anyway, that was quite an insight, discussing about Africa, it looks like as though there's a lot we need to do. We need to. It's a self-reflection on Africans themselves than it is about anybody else. No matter whatever person or country, whatever it is they're doing to us. But I think we start with ourselves first. That's what I'm getting from you. But one of the last questions I want to ask, the last question, so to speak, is that why is it that when people get into power, they don't go? We've got a situation in Guinea. The president is now like 37, 38 years in power. We recently had from Zimbabwe, he was like 37 years in power. I fail to understand it there. The other countries, I know the constitution allows it in those countries. It allows it, like even the UK constitution, if the party still wants their candidate and he can still go on and on, it's allowed. But in the African context of things, it becomes dictatorial at the end of the day. But why is it they don't want to go?
First of all, you should look at the UK. Do you know UK was under dictatorship for over 300 years?
Yeah. Yeah, with the king and all that, yeah.
Yeah. Africa needs some stability. Personal view, if a president doesn't abuse the country's resources, then he's doing well, and there's peace, I don't think there should be need of change, and if the constitution can allow.
Yeah.
Because you should not change for the sake of change.
Oh, yeah.
Because even if you have a child who lives here today, tomorrow, there's no stability, you'll be confused. Just look at Malawi, who had ups and downs.
Yeah.
People suffered when the country was at its knees. There's another president picks it up. It was up and down. If, for example, during Kamu's time, it was very consistent for over 30 years. When I went to UK for the first time in 1988, then I started appreciating that I think Malawi got a better life. And when I finished my course, I found a job in UK. That time, I wanted to go back home. To go back home and help. I thought I had a better life in Malawi than UK. That was during Dr. Ndala. And most of the students were going back. Unless you have got different agenda.
Yeah.
You will feel the age of going back. Yeah? So sometimes these rules of changing every minute, it's disturbing. If you have got a very good reason, I have no problem. But if you don't have any good reason, these things came in because the Western world, democracy with people suffering is not democracy. Democracy means people must have a good life, politically, economically, but if you change government and the economy of the country goes down, you can't call democracy. That's what has happened in most countries. For example, in Rwanda, that president has pushed that economy from ground zero to where it is. And just to change now for the sake of changing, when he's still got the capacity to run the country to even do better, what's the point? So we need to evaluate some of these things, not just do it because it happens in the Western world. I know it's democracy, we need democracy to change. But the only problem is, if that leader is abusing power, then that becomes a problem. But if the person is doing extremely well and people are benefiting from it, why change? It's just like if you have got a wife who is doing well, why change your wife? People who marry different wives, and they do it because they are not happy with this wife. It makes sense. But why do you want to change your wife? Because as I said, the governments are like small families. You should take over government. You are a government on your own. You're not going to change your wife just because it's democratic to change your wife, or neighbors change the wife. You have to have very, very good reason. So I think we are carried away with some of Western culture, Western mentality. And one thing you should understand is, I've gone through the universities in every country I've studied, I've lived, I've been to the university, I've studied, I've got a degree. In the Western world, you find that, like in England, there are about 3 or 5% of the British who are university students. Most of the things they tell us in Africa, they're not research based.
Yeah.
Just because somebody talks a lot,
Yeah.
and people, you say, oh yes, that's it, without any basic objectivity in it.
Yeah.
Just because somebody talks a lot or has got an experience, you can have 100 years of experience, but if whatever you're saying is not research based, to me it doesn't make sense. You go to present what you have done. Have you tried somewhere? Has it worked? Yeah. For example, they should now this guy should say, okay, we introduced democracy, multi-party system in Africa. Compare before multi-party and now. Where are the people? Where are the economies? Where is the fighting? Have they benefited? Have they not? I personally, because I'm research oriented, I always evaluate my life every time. Am I going the right track? And I don't even get scared of the consequences. If I want to change, I want to change. But not because somebody said this is the way to go. And I have to stick to it. I'm not going to do that. I have to consider what I've done this for the past 10 years or the past 2 years. Where am I?
Yeah.
If I'm not here, what am I doing?
Okay. Cool.
Is it because I'm in Western world? To me, it doesn't work like that. So I think, to answer your question, some people get in there, they don't want to go. They are scared to say, who else can do it at the moment? Because you can see some other countries whereby you say, oh, who can continue with this? Consider where they've come from, they've fought so hard. Some people, their country at the heart of their thinking, and they think, this is what I wanted to do, I've come from here, so if I do this, people are still childish. That's my thinking. And the example is Rwanda. Typical example, Rwanda is booming a lot economically.
Yeah, but there's a complaint now that some voices are coming up to say, oh, he should go, it's not democratic, he's becoming authoritarian. Because what is happening is that the majority of the people in Africa are now the youth. Yes. And the youth are prescribed to the Western values of life. Whatever comes from the West, whether it's good or bad, what they don't know, the other side of things, is that even a stupid statement, whether said by a fool or a professor, is still stupid. But they don't value it that way. They think that, okay, yeah, because you've overstayed, he needs to go now, we need to just, the change for the sake of change scenario. That's what is pushing it. And the international community as well, that if you don't toe the line, you don't agree with them, you become a dictator automatically.
You know what? The international community have messed so many countries. Look at Iraq.
Yeah.
Look at Libya. The word international, I think we should be very, very careful, because those are not the think tanks, those are not the intelligent people, because you can have a person, just because he's coming from America, tells you how to do things in Africa, just because he's somewhere else carrying a position, you should see what are his credentials. Where is the basis of this research? Why are you telling me this? Africans should stop and say, can you give us evidence that this has worked somewhere else? And they should go and research rather than just saying, yes, we want to do it. You know, even if you are the best president in the whole world, you still have something bad coming to you. That's for sure. You cannot please everybody else. But the most important thing is to say, a majority of my people happy. But you still have this saying, oh, he's the dictator, he's what. If I was the president, my priority would be my people, not the international community. That's it. Because the international community nowadays, we have got a choice. When we talk of international community, we talk of UK, America, the Western world. It's China now, which has got very good terms. I think we need to prioritize our people happy. If that's what your people want, fine. And one thing which is dangerous nowadays is that some people who haven't lived in the Western world for long enough to know this world, people, they go back home, they think they know more about the white people, and they tend to disseminate false wrong information. So that we've got that challenge. So our young people, I know they're seeing all this. You know, the other problem with our young people back home is when they see something on TV or a movie, they forget that the way they're acting there, it's a job. In their normal life, it's not like that. So they want to do this like that. So media is very, very disturbing sometimes. It's sometimes controversial, sometimes confusing young people. So that's why the young people need a lot of guidance. Young people is the future.
Why can't we try and control our own information? Or compete against these international...
in some countries they do. I remember during Dr. Ndala he used to control.
Oh yeah.
You remember that he used to control?
Yeah, I went there and there was no TV at all.
Yes, and you were saying at the moment, you guys, you are not ready for it. When you are ready for it, I'll tell you will be ready for it. And the music came, brought TV, caused commotion. And still causing commotion.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes African people should know what our values and culture is.
Yeah.
For example, I stayed overseas for all this length of time. I still consider myself Malawian. My values for my children and whatever, or the way I live Malawian. And I'm very, very proud of being a Malawian. I tell people I'm a Malawian. Even at work, I tell the people I'm from Malawi. I'm a Malawian. They say, what are you doing? I said, I'm working here, but I'm a Malawian. Regardless of whatever they say, they know I'm a Malawian. I have to be proud. And I tell my kids, you guys, whatever you do, you are Malawians.
Yeah.
So I think loss of identity and culture is a problem in our kids.
Yeah.
If you identify yourself who you are, where you come from, you won't lose your identity or culture. You won't have problems with behavior issues and the other nonsenses which are happening here. Because you are content.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's some research which says that you know, the kids in America, even here, who are causing problems from African families, are not the kids those parents brought them from Africa.
That were born in Africa.
No, but the kids
locally born here.
Locally born here, English the only language. Those bilingual kids are well-behaved people because those kids have kept their values, their culture. You see the difference now. So it applies to even adults. If we come here, we should know who you are. You know, if you, for example, I'm here as a Malawian. You know, when the people hear as a Malawian, hear me that I am a Malawian, they want to learn more about me. But if I say I'm part of them, they don't want to know about it.
Okay.
But now they are interested. How do Malawians live? So you should be proud of what you are and encourage people to talk about you. So that's me. So Africa has got a long way to go, but it's on track in some countries. In some countries, it's not on track. It's unfortunate that things are like that. So, but we need to have controls, measures to say safeguard what we need for our young people. And you know, it's possible having like youth programs, having forums to teach the young people what really the Western world is. Some people, you can even send them to Europe for a few weeks to understand what it is. I remember during Dr. Ndala's time, because he wanted people to know, have a broad knowledge of the world, not just watching, not just hearing on radio or listening to people. He used to send people who have never been to school to UK, like the ladies, the people, men, 100 people, 200 people to UK. And when they come back, say, can you tell what happened? And they were able to appreciate nothing. There are areas which are good in that area, in UK, but I think we're better in these areas. So education is better, but the problem back home in Africa is that there's so many people misleading our young people.
Does that mean we need to look at your education?
Yes.
What exactly we are teaching the kids?
Education is teaching the right things,
Mm.
but it's just the extracurricular.
Yeah.
The extracurricular, and the parents, some parents are just taking in everything what the child says.
Mm.
They're not stopping the kids. Say, no. Remember, we are from such a village.
Mm.
Back home, we don't do this.
Mm.
If the kids keep on their values and identity, they'll never go off track. They'll go to school. They'll do everything the right thing.
Mm.
You see that all the kids, you have been in the Western world for some time.
Yeah.
You've seen that our black kids,
Mm-hmm.
when they keep their values and respect for our African culture,
Mm-hmm.
those are the kids who do well at school,
Yeah.
who have got better jobs.
Yeah.
So the answers are there, but we are not ready to accept that some of it are on making.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I say it has to be the family who knows how to manage their kids, who knows how to manage themselves. Nobody will. My neighbor cannot solve my problems in here.
Yeah.
No neighbor will solve your problems in your house.
Yeah.
So the core person to solve the problem is the family, and the core person to solve problems is the people of that particular country. And the other people can help a little bit,
Yeah.
but the real person to say this is what I want is the people of that particular country.
Okay. Well, that was quite an interesting interview there with Mr. Henry Ndala. Mr. Ndala, thank you very much for this insightful discussion. I'm sure we'll catch up with Mr. Ndala again in our future programs and discussing any issues that happen in Africa and anything new that comes up, anything that needs to be discussed, and even the diaspora people with the problems they're facing and all that. It's another thing that needs to be discussed. Mr. Ndala, last word. What would you have to say to our audience here?
Let's keep on fighting for a better Africa.
Mm.
Africa is the best place to be. Has got the best resources, has got the best people, beautiful landscape. We should not say Africa is not good. Mm. I've lived here for a long time, different countries, not just here, different countries in the Western. I think Africa is still the best.
Okay.
If well managed.
Yeah, if well managed. Okay, there you are. We need to keep talking. We need to keep evaluating ourselves and looking at what we're doing, and maybe we'll get there. It won't be done in a day, but we will get there. Thank you very much, Mr. Ndala.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll meet again. We're discussing any one of our the 55 countries in Africa and where we are looking at where we are with Africa. Join me again in Africa. Talk to me. Thank you.